evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here, calling the shots for you tonight as always. And before we get started, I wanted to remind you folks that the holiday giveaway winners were announced for this year, and thanks to everyone who participated. Congratulations to all the winners. If you didn't win, better luck next time. I'm sure I'll be giving away some more stuff, and I always appreciate all of you viewers either way. Anyways, this is also my last cast before I run off to MagFest, the music and gaming festival that I help run here on the east coast of the United States. I'll be gone for a week or two, so be sure to stop by Critella's channel, Steve, Bud, Indrid, all the other great DoW2 casters. They'll keep you busy in my absence. And if any of you fine folks are going to be there, be sure to stop by the game room, which I'll be running and trying to keep from exploding with all the concentrated awesome that we'll have at that location. Anyways, let's go ahead, take a look at our game here tonight. This is 2.010 for the Elite mod. It's a slight little hotfix on 209. Nothing major change, just some bug fixes, things like that, and a couple small values. Tonight we are on Outer Reaches. We've got on the blue side Mr. Kalzi4 as the Lord Commissar, and then on the red team we've got Mr. Grunk as the Eldar Warp Spider Exarch. So let's get rolling. Outer Reaches is a very good map. I feel like it's probably certainly a Eldar favored map, I almost kind of want to say. I feel like this one, both this and Greentooth Jungle, that these maps where the bases start very close together and force you way out into the far ends of the map, really allow the kind of quicker and more punishing Eldar squads to kind of get in your retreat path and punish you back here. So we'll see if that plays at all in this match. Of course, the last game we saw the Commissar Lord here in the same position, and he fared very well just due to the Imperial Guard's ability to kind of fortify that position just outside of their base. Since there are VPs right in front of either player's base, this tends to be a map for longer games, as it's hard to close out a kind of 2-0 or 3-0 cap on this map with everything so very close. Warp Spider going to be very effective here as he can jump around in and out of this kind of central ruined citadel here, as we see right there. Kiting around the Lord Commissar, whittling away that shield while he has the opportunity. Grunk's going for a pair of Dire Avengers, which is pretty standard against the Imperial Guard. Don't want to be getting Banshees generally because the Sentinel is just such a solid deterrent for them at this point in the game. And just in general, the Imperial Guard have such high ranged output that they can really shut down Banshees and cause way more bleed than what they're worth. Kalzi going for a third squad of Guardsmen. Neither player really kind of prioritizing any specific capping order, just moving out onto the map. We can see Grunk's already dropped a pair of generators. Probably going to be seeing some early Shurikens or something like that on the field. And Kalzi4 going for triple Guardsmen, so maybe we'll be seeing some Chimera play, which we actually haven't seen for a while with Imperial Guard. And speaking of what we haven't seen for a while, the Warp Spider Exarch, actually, I can't remember the last time I've done a one-on-one game with him, but primarily all I see in Elite Mod these days is Warlock. It's Warlock, Warlock, Warlock. Don't even see the Farseer as much these days, because with the Warlock's new additions and upgrades and changes, he's just so very powerful, but the Warp Spider and Farseer, of course, still very viable. Anyways, Sentinel on the field, seeing the kind of standard Imperial Guard play. Sentinel leading the charge, taking and tanking damage, while the Guardsmen heal it up. Warp Spider still kind of oddly was targeting the Sentinel unnecessarily. Really got to get those Guardsmen off the field before you can hurt that Sentinel.
Generator coming up.
Commissar Lord got the decap on the natural requisition point way on this side of the map. Got caught by some Shuriken fire in the meantime. The Sentinel's getting very low, playing very brazenly so far, taking a lot of Shuriken fire. Looks like it's going to be able to escape from these Guardians, but just barely with under 100 HP.
Generator coming up.
Kalzi4 doing a good job with VPs so far. Kept a solid 2-1 cap and already whittled away almost 100 VPs right here. Going to try to prevent the Guardians from getting this VP back as well. One Shuriken on the field for Grunk. These Guardsmen are in a bad position. Gonna get caught by that Shuriken and have to retreat through both of these Guardian squads. And they both actually have battle equipment, so they're going to be getting grenaded on retreat most likely. Yeah, there goes one toss. That one misses, however. Here comes a second, though, and takes out, oh my goodness, 4 or 5 Guardsmen. One got turned to bits, the others got knocked down. In the meantime, it looks like the Commissar has managed to take out the node on this power, going for the decap. He might be able to get it too with his shield buying him a little extra time against that War Spider who's unupgraded. Although with the Guardians moving in, yeah, that's going to force him to get out of there. Some nice aggressive play by Kalzi4 so far, and doing a solid job of keeping the map in his control. The Shuriken needs to turn around, however, and start dealing with these Guardsmen Flamers. They're currently pounding this energy shield. Shuriken's getting set up into position. Guardsmen actually just focusing down that energy shield, making sure it doesn't stick around and make him regret leaving it up later. 500 to 396. This is one of those silly maps where the colors on the minimap are opposite of the color, the VP colors and the UI here, so hopefully I won't get confused by that. Double Shurikens on the field for Grunk. Actually very useful, I feel like, in this map, because the Shurikens can really kind of just hang around and lurk inside of this ruined structure and just control the movement lanes of this map very effectively. Kalzi4 being pretty much only infantry right now is going to have to be very wary of where those Shurikens are at all times. Doing another good job keeping these Guardsmen way back, trying to keep them back from Shuriken fire. Sentinel dodging a grenade, going in for the stomp. Gets both squads perfectly as the Lord Commissar moves in on the Shuriken cannon. I think that Shuriken had just set up to try to turn and deal with the Guardsmen, but it was ill-timed as the Commissar Lord came in to engage in melee. Guardsman taking out this Warp Spider. Oh no! Grunk wasn't paying attention. Warp Spider goes down. That's going to be a solid win for Kalzi4 at this point in the game. He's been causing some pretty reasonable requisition bleed and keeping his very minimal. He's heading into Tier 2 right now. Both players, of course, do have their full power farms up. Gen Dash is pretty difficult to pull off on this map, but if you can, it certainly makes a huge difference, as in any game. Warp Spider and Lord Commissar both vanilla at this point in the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe the heavy gauge filament on the Warp Spider, something like that, to really just knock down that Commissar and keep him from engaging anything in melee. I think that would be a good purchase. But we'll have to see how this plays out. Guardsmen and Guardians, or Dire Avengers rather, having a little melee scuffle there. I think Guardsmen might actually lose that battle with so few members and without their Commissar. I'm not sure who would win that, actually. They're both terrible at melee, so who knows? I'll have to lab that one day. Lord Commissar now chasing around Guardians, been doing a good job of keeping them off the point. Grunk's kind of been trying to lock down areas of the map with his Shurikens, not quite using them as effectively as he could be, I feel. This one's kind of just sitting up here looking at nothing. Meanwhile, the Guardians, or the Guardsmen rather, and the Sentinel up top holding that central VP. Another Shuriken cannon getting set up. It's going to blast that Commissar right in the face at point-blank range. His shield went down almost immediately, and he has to fall back with his Guardsmen. Chimera coming onto the field, and that's kind of what I was expecting with this triple Guardsman build. However, this map in particular is notorious for having bad vehicle pathing, so we're going to have to see if that comes into play at all. All of the corridors on this map are just kind of very tight and narrow. Vehicles tend to get caught up on just about every little wall and crater and tank trap on this map, so we'll have to see how that goes. Guardians charging in against this turret. They decided to just throw a grenade on it. Didn't get it in time to stop the Guardsmen from building it, but another grenade will be able to take that turret out. That's a fun fact for any of you Eldar players who generally don't know how to deal with turrets. 2 Guardian grenades will just outright kill a turret. And yeah, actually it looks like that's what we're going to see Grunk do right here. Here comes a second grenade right on top of that turret. Guardsman trying to repair, but I don't think it's going to matter. Turret goes down. That's a quick loss for Kalzi4. Turrets aren't terribly expensive, but you certainly don't want to be throwing them away without getting any kills or anything out of them. Although, all things considered, buying some time for these Guardsmen and the Sentinel to keep holding this VP is working out very well. The Warp Spider had to fall back. These Dire Avengers are going to have to leave too. And he's going to have Grunk down to about 50% of his VPs here shortly, unless he can get back out here on the map and do something. We now have a Wraithlord coming onto the field, which will actually be very effective, as Kalzi4's current army composition is pretty much restricted to only anti-infantry. Of course, the Lord Commissar can get himself a power fist, but he's going to need something else, either a las cannon or some Melta stormtroopers to deal with that Wraithlord. Right now the Chimera is just kind of trolling in front of Grunk's base. Grunk has nothing to do for it. Even with the reduced damage around the base that Keltos has put in, that Chimera can still pick off Guardians here and there. So Warp Spider getting upgraded with his Power Blades teleports right behind the Chimera at the same time as that Wraithlord coming out. And that Chimera is instantly scared off. That Warp Spider is going to try to troll around and do some damage. Lord Commissar was in there. Pops out to deal with the Warp Spider. He jumps away, but the Lord Commissar is going to have to deal with that Wraithlord here shortly. And probably going to need to run as that Shuriken Cannon has him pinned down. While that base pin was going on, though, we can see the Guardsmen were running around trying to burn down some power. They managed to get the node, but no generators. And with the Power Blades, the Warp Spire is actually going to be very effective at just warping in and engaging these Guardsmen in melee, negating all of their range damage. With these Sentinel and the Chimera still on the field, though, that's two things that can't be tied up and both reasonable sources of anti-vehicle damage. Looks like I missed another nice Guardian Grenade right here. In case you hadn't known, Persistent Bodies have been reinstalled on this mod. So, as you can see, all of the major battlegrounds have Guardian models and Guardsman models hanging out all over the place. This Chimera in a lot of trouble, getting harassed by this Warp Spider pretty consistently. However, he's getting very low. It looks like he might even go down right here, and he does. A bit too brazen trying to chase those vehicles on his own without the support of the Wraithlord. He should have had that Wraithlord in there harassing as well. Really, Kalzi4 needs to get rockets on this Sentinel. He does have, I think, yeah, he's upgrading the Power Fist right now, bringing a Manticore onto the field. I'm not sure if that's a safe plan right now with this Walker on the field. He has nothing to slow down that Walker yet. All he has is the deterrent that his Commissar Lord will be with that Power Fist. Of course, the power of going double Shuriken Cannon in Elite Mod is that you can upgrade one of them to a Right Lance. And that's exactly what that's exactly what Grunk did. Oh no, this Chimera getting swung all around again. Gets chopped right down by that Wraithlord. Sentinel trying to fall back right here. Harassing Guardians wherever he can. But right now, the Wraithlord's just owning the field on his own. Kalzi4 still has no solid answer to it. He really just kind of needs to have his Commissar Lord out here and kind of standing between his army and the Wraithlord. But really, oh, there we go. He is getting missiles on the Sentinel finally. This Sentinel with rockets can really do a number to this Wraithlord on its own. He can kite it around, constantly hit it with rockets, and do some pretty nice damage. There's nothing too quick that Grunk has on the field that can really take that Sentinel down, so I think Kalzi4 needs to use that Sentinel as his current counter to this Wraithlord. Manticore's on the field. Looks like it's getting ready to loose another volley. Coming right down on those Guardians, it looks like. They're trying to run around. They're not sure where to dodge to. Looks like it doesn't quite connect. Oh, but the third rocket does knock them into range of the Lord Commissar. He's trying to get out of there, but there's a Wraithlord and everything in his retreat path. Grenade going down as well, but the Wraithlord steals the kill from the dire Avengers with one swing of that gigantic sword. Kalzi4 still has a solid advantage, but he can't let this Wraithlord continue to run the field as it currently is. Sentinel now is starting to hit it with anti-vehicle rockets. Guardsmen need to fall back and not to be taking that splash damage from the Wraithlord's swings right now. And we can see how effective those rockets are. It's at 781, goes down to 675, so pretty huge damage on each shot. Manticore, excellent for dealing with these Eldar platforms. With that Wraithlord so low, and continuing to take shots from that Sentinel, it's going to need to be very careful as it too is positioning. There are no detectors on the field, so for all he knows, Kalzi4 could have a Stormtrooper spawn on the field, and that would be the end of this Wraithlord. So really, against the Imperial Guard, need to be very careful with your walkers. Luckily for Grunk, however, there are no Stormtroopers. Warp Spider, again, being very brazen, trying to get up here and do some damage with his Power Blades. Guardians now repairing the Wraithlord under fire. Right Lance might actually be able to take the Sentinel down. Those rockets came out and had a huge impact And the Warp Spider jumping in and messing up the pathing of the Sentinel. Looks like it's going to get away with, though, with 7 HP. That Warp Spider, oh, warps in, though, and gets a quick special attack off and runs away. He probably could have finished it off if he had just used Stop Micro and switched to range stance, but decides to go in for the flashy kill. It does cost Grunk his Warp Spider, though. A hero for an upgraded Sentinel, though, probably a reasonable trade, all things considered. The hero only costs Wreck, and that Sentinel was upgraded with both the Stomp and the missiles, which are fairly expensive. Very good for their cost, but they are expensive if you can't keep that Sentinel up. And once again, we are now at the point that Kalzi only has one real unit to deal with this Wraithlord, and that's the Commissar. And unfortunately for him, that Wraithlord seems to continually be kicking his butt. He went for the Art of Discipline, which is odd because he hasn't been using his Commissar Lord really in conjunction with his troops much. I would kind of feel more like Stubbornness would be the way to go, so he can hit and run, fall back, heal up with his troops, and then do that sort of thing. But Aura of Discipline actually heals his men, not the Commissar Lord. So you can see that tooltip right there. Showing the toolkit because it's not a commonly used war gear. You almost more often always see Stubbornness or, of course, the infamous Emperor's Wrath. Kalzi4 has been doing a good job of continuing to put pressure on this power, and the VPs are still going very much in his favor, despite the map kind of being run by the Wraithlord right now. Manticore keeping these Shurikens from doing any damage at all, really. The Guardians weapon teams have been trying to get set up wherever they can, but constantly that Manticore is dropping rockets from the sky on top of them and keeping them from having any real presence. Grunk floating a lot in Tier 3, and oh my goodness, there it is. The Avatar is coming onto the field, and oh my goodness, that's going to be very, very bad for Kalzi4. He doesn't really have anything to deal with that, although he did manage to just take out that Bright Lance cannon. I'm surprised it actually went up to cap after taking that Manticore volley. Although Kalzi is about to run headlong into a Shuriken barrage. Oh, he's got his Ogrins behind, so as soon as they come around, he's going to be able to take that out. Lord Commissar down to 12 HP, but he looks like he's going to get out of there. I'm not sure why he's charging in with these Guardsmen. Did he forget about his Ogrins? There they go. I'm not sure. Oh, his Guardsmen were about to engage that platform in melee, and they could have just held out another second while those Ogrins came in to kill the weapons team. This full health squad did not need to retreat at all. That one might have, but I still think the weakened one was about to engage in melee. Kalzi4 now has Ogrins to help the Lord Commissar deal with this Wraithlord. But as of right now, there's still not much that's going to do much. He's buying Catechins now. I'm not sure if that's a good choice either. What he really needs is Stormtroopers or a Las Cannon. A heavy weapons team might not even be the greatest idea either, considering that the Warp Spider's on the field, but he needs something to be able to threaten this Wraithlord reasonably. And I feel like a heavy weapons team isn't necessarily a bad idea. You can kind of plant it right back here by your base and really control the center part of the map, keep those walkers from really chasing you down too far, and at least have some sort of threat on the field. Because right now the Ogrins and the Lord Commissar are just going to get torn up by these large walkers. A nice Wailing Doom going off right there, kind of delaying the retreat of the Ogrins. Might manage to get a model here. Yes, they do in fact take out one of the Ogrins. Avatar now using Wrath of Khaine. Oh no, and all the Guardsmen are actually moving towards it. Oh my goodness. Several Guardsmen getting beat up right there. I'm actually surprised that didn't kill outright more than just one of the models here. I guess maybe at full strength they would have been alright. Lord Commissar stubbornly fighting both walkers, ignoring the fact that he was doomed to die there. Kalzi4 needs to be very careful at this point in the game with these large Eldar power units on the field. It's going to be very difficult to really injure either one of those with the current composition. Flare going down on that Guardian weapons team, allowing the Catechins to deal with these dire Avengers. They drop a grenade right on top of the Catechins, though. And the Catechins are going to need to use their All Reliable to take out that Guardian's weapons team. In the meantime, oh no, this Manticore's in dire straits as the Avatar's moving in for the kill. Nothing's going to slow that Avatar down, and this is exactly why he needed Stormtroopers. Even if they wouldn't outright kill these walkers, these walkers would not be venturing anywhere near this base if he knew there was the chance that either this Wraithlord or this Avatar could get melt-a-bombed. So Ogryn's moving in on the Dire Avengers. Guardsmen about to get annihilated by a Wrath. Wailing Doom. Oh my goodness, bits and blood everywhere. Oh, the bits. Sad little Guardsman bits. Avatar down to about half health, but not hesitating to stay in the base. And this is just going to be a massacre. Returning the favor. Grunk with a reciprocal base harassment here. Heavy weapons team on the field now, finally, to steal with these two walkers. 437 to 66. Very unfortunate so far for Kalzi. He's lost now all three of the vehicles, his Sentinel.
Let's do it.
And everything. It looks like, oh my goodness, we just had an Eldritch Storm that I missed here in the base. Lots of, oh my goodness, look at all those dead guardsmen underneath the live ones. I don't think that Eldritch Storm killed too much. May have killed some guardsmen, but of course in the base, it's not going to do too much. You really want to try to use nukes outside of the base and the elite mob now. That's how that's working. A grenade that kind of does more damage to the Dire Avengers than it does the Ogryns. But now they're going to have to retreat through both the Wraithlord and the Avatar. Wailing Doom going down once again on these Ogryns on retreat. And as we've seen, this is kind of what I've been talking about. The Guardian Grenades, now with Wailing Doom on the field as well. Like, this retreat path right through here is just kind of a no man's land. It's going to do... Everything's just going to be taking heavy damage as they run through there. And with an Autarch on the field as well, we're going to see kind of that very obnoxious dual Eldar hero play. The Warp Spider, of course, running around. The Autarch jumping around with a warp and a jump both on the field, and the ability to engage both of these Guardsmen squads at once. I mean, there's just nothing that the Guardsmen are going to be able to do to stay on the field at this point in the game. And this might be the start of a turn in Grunk's favor if Kalzi can't deal with these walkers. 366 to just 66. Grunk's finally gotten some map control, but it might be a bit too late. He's down to 66 VPs. He's going to have to be vigilant in holding those to stay in this game. Avatar moving in once again, trying to get in range for another Wailing Doom on retreat, crushing everything in the meantime. Las Cannon gets a shot on him. Catachan Devils, great at dealing with Guardians and Guardian weapons teams. But unfortunately, these walkers and the Wraith Guard, the Autarch, Warp Spider, everything's just kind of ready to deal with these Ogryns right now. Anti-grav grenade coming up on that Warp Spider as well, which will allow him to just pop those Ogryns right up in the air. And it's just going to be very difficult for Kalzi to do anything against these walkers right now. Guardians taking heavy, heavy damage as all three of the Guardsmen squads are moving in on them. The last of the Lord Commissar mines explode, suppressing that final Dire Avengers squad. And this swarm, this huge infantry push from Kalzi4 moving in on the VP on this side of the map. And unfortunately, the bulk of Kalzi's forces are these Guardsmen, and the Avatar completely negates them, all things considered. Here comes another Wailing Doom! Oh my goodness! Completely obliterates this squad except for its Sarge. Autarch falls back. Could have finished off that squad actually if she had been paying attention. But luckily for that Sergeant, he manages to get out of there. Kalzi4 is not pleased with that Avatar at all. Kalzi has tons and tons of power. However, he's just been bleeding like a fiend at this point in the game between those two walkers. I mean, if he had been able to go tier 3 and maybe bring a tank onto the field or something like that, things would be different. Mines go down, but get pretty much taken out right away by a Wailing Doom. That's unfortunate. Kind of a waste of red almost. Ogryns moving in on the Avatar. Looks like they're just going to try to tank for a little while they grab the point, but decide to fall back. Catachans have not really just been doing their worth so far. And right now, Grunk's doing a great job. He's leaving one walker up top, along with a Shuriken cannon. Lord Commissar managed to flank and get behind the Shuriken cannon, however, though. Everything's popping in and out of this warp gate up here. Now that he's spotted it, he's going to know he has to take that down to really have a chance of taking this top VP back. Grenade going down. Looks like, oh, it accidentally hit the cover. If you click too close to cover at all, your grenade will actually just end up dropping right on top of it. It wouldn't have finished off the Lord Commissar at all anyways. I think it wouldn't have done the 250 damage necessary to take him out. Fire Prism now on the field, and oh my goodness. This could be the exordium of the demise of Kalzi4. We've kind of seen this a couple games here with these Eldar just getting to tier 3 and then riding tier 3 out to the end with these Eldar power units. Kalzi4, I think, is just stuck in tier 2 a bit too long. If he had some armor on the field, he'd be able to deal with these walkers so much more easily. And I think just his lack of getting a solid anti-vehicle hard counter earlier in the game has just allowed Grunk to push into this late game position that's going to be so powerful. Warp Spider might actually go down to these mines if he's not careful. Luckily, he managed to suppress the Guardsman squad. If they had turned around right there and opened fire with an unsuppressed volley, he most certainly would have died. Autark now jumping around, keeping those Guardsmen engaged, and Kalzi4 just running again into the Shuriken cannon. I think he might just be getting a little frustrated and desperate at this point. He's going to lose another Ogryn or two right now if he continues to fight this Wraithlord, but he's not going to be able to take it out under Shuriken fire as well. He needs to fall back. 2 Ogryns go down as the Guardians try to drop grenades, and in case they were intending to continue the engagement right there. He drops that flare, but he should have done that much earlier while the Ogryns were battling that Wraithlord. Commissar Lord again defiantly battling with the Avatar one-on-one. And Kalzi4 is just losing too much, I think. This could be very unfortunate if any of these Guardsman squads go down at this point in the game. He needs to keep both his infantry up and just, I mean, I know I've been saying it all game, but get a counter out for these vehicles. Oh my goodness. The las cannon's out, but I think a Stormtrooper squad would have been a better investment. It's more mobile, and it can just present a much deadlier threat to those slow walkers that were dominating the mid-game. Kalzi4 had such a strong start. I mean, he had his opponent down to under 100 VPs while still being over 400 himself, but he just has not been able to deal with this Eldar menace as it currently stands. If he loses this las cannon, he's really going to have nothing. Down it goes. I think he's just frustrated and about ready to throw in the towel, unfortunately. Grunk has done an excellent job locking down this top VP with that warp gate. Warp gate play very effective in these kind of long-range, out-of-reaches kind of maps. Another Wailing Doom about to hit this Catachan Devil Squad head on. Oh my goodness! Blows up the improvised explosive as well. Only the leaders of the Catachan Devils left. Wrath of Khaine going down and actually takes out the Catachan squad on retreat. Rarely see that used on retreat like that, but obviously very effective. Oh my goodness. That ability doesn't do as much damage, but those Catachans were very low, and with the Warp Spider and Autark running around level 6 and level 4 respectively. Oh my goodness.
Go ahead,
just hacking up and winning kill after kill on these Guardsman squads. The Ogryns unfortunately haven't done too much this game. I feel like we saw that last game as well against Eldar. The Ogryns were just not pulling their weight, constantly getting suppressed and pushed back, and with power blades out, and of course, 2 walkers, there's just not too much the Ogryns can do. Oh my goodness, another retreat grenade took out that last of that Guardian squad. I almost missed that right there. Grunk is just being an unpleasant fellow. Now, Wailing Doom in the base. Oh my goodness. Knocking everything down. obliterating so many guardsmen. Oh my goodness.
We're here.
Another heavy weapons team coming onto the field for Kalzi4. Guardians capping the point. The last 100 VPs of Kalzi4 ticking away as it looks like it's going to be a triple cap here shortly. I don't think there's too much he can do. He's still in tier 2, doesn't have any real options with so few infantry onto the field compared to a full Eldar army. D-Cannon coming out as well. Guardian shields going up, and Grunk is just doing everything he can to assure that there's no possible point of return for Kalzi4. Avatar again moving into the base. Ogrins with just 2 lone members. A pair of Ogrins engaging the D-Cannon, forcing it off the field. They're going for a cap, it looks like, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, Kalzi4's kind of just not even paying attention. Throws the Ogrins into the base and then retreats them. I think this game's pretty much done for. As the last few VPs tick down, he's buying a Manticore, but it's just, what is a Manticore going to do at this point? Unfortunately for Kalzi4, I think he just made a few poor unit choices. Oh, that would have been a great time just to blow up that improvised explosive. It would have certainly made him feel better to blow up half a dozen Guardians or so right there. Oh, they were standing right on top of it. Anyways, that Wraithlord and then that quick tech to the Avatar just ruined Kalzi4's day. He had his opponent down to 66 VPs. Oh my goodness. It could have been over so quick, but those walkers just shut him down and shut him down hard. Unfortunately, I feel like he kind of had a couple options to try to deal with those, but just didn't decide to go for him, was continuing with his infantry-style play. Lost his vehicles, and that was kind of it. Avatar made a huge impact on that game. I don't know how many guardsmen it killed, but it had to have been at least a few dozen easily. But that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to be heading out to MagFest for a week or so I'll be catching you guys in a while. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. I always appreciate it. This is Red-Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.